You know the feeling. You're just sitting there, staring at the work that desperately needs to get done. You can literally feel this heavy, paralyzing weight settling right in your chest. And in that quiet, agonizing moment of doing absolutely nothing, you tell yourself something incredibly damaging. You tell yourself, "I'm just lazy." Well, welcome to today's explainer. Look, this isn't just another generic time management lecture. This is about managing your mind. We're going to dissect those quiet, invisible fears that keep you completely paralyzed, and we're going to fundamentally shift the trajectory of your entire future. We are diving deep into the psychology of avoidance today, really unpacking the unseen forces that are holding you back. So let me ask you something. What if you aren't lazy? What if that heavy label you've carried around for years, lazy, unmotivated, broken, undisciplined, what if that isn't true at all? We live in a society that constantly yells at us to just grind harder, right? And we often just accept these surface-level excuses for our behavior without ever looking under the hood, at the engine that's actually running things. But what if the real reason you procrastinate, the real reason you can't seem to just sit down and execute, is something far more complex? Let's take a really hard look at what is actually happening inside your brain. Here is the biggest misconception about procrastination. People think it means you simply don't care, that it's just this profound sense of apathy. But when we look at the psychological realities of human behavior, a completely different truth emerges. Many times, you delay because you care way too much. You care so deeply about the outcome that it absolutely terrifies you. You overthink every single minute detail. You harbor this intense, exhausting fear of failure, and a quiet, terrifying anxiety of just not being good enough. So instead of stepping into the arena and facing that potential reality, you delay again and again. You aren't avoiding the work, you are avoiding the emotional weight attached to it. Procrastination is, at its absolute core, a coping mechanism. It's your mind's deeply ingrained way of dealing with fear, chronic overthinking, and a fundamental lack of self-belief. This intense psychological friction is what results in delayed action. It is absolutely not laziness. It is emotional avoidance, plain and simple. Think about it. Your brain is a survival machine, and right now, it is actively trying to protect you from the psychological vulnerability of trying your absolute hardest and potentially failing. It perceives the task as a literal threat to your ego and your self-worth, so it just slams on the emergency brake. All right, Section 1, the comfort trap. Let's talk about the biological reality of avoiding hard things. To truly break free here, understanding the psychology is honestly only half the battle. We have to confront the hardwired biology of why your mind is so desperately avoids difficult tasks. I mean, think about what the brain naturally craves: comfort, endless scrolling, mindless entertainment. Why? Because it's easy. It feels safe. In a super chaotic world, distraction literally feels better chemically. It's a steady, reliable drip of cheap dopamine. Now, contrast that with what the brain actively avoids: discomfort, difficult, highly focused work, pain. You see, meaningful work creates this uncomfortable psychological friction, and your mind, by its very evolutionary nature, is trying to steer you away from pain, even when avoiding that short-term pain is actively destroying your long-term future. You are literally fighting millions of years of biological programming. Moving into Section 2, the hidden damage, the unseen cost of all that comfort. Listen to me, when we constantly surrender to that biological urge for safety, we start to break things we cannot see. The true danger of procrastination isn't losing time. Time is a renewable resource in the short term. You can always attempt to work faster or wake up earlier tomorrow. The silent, invisible, and frankly far more devastating tragedy here is that you're losing your confidence. Every single time you know exactly what you need to do and you choose to delay instead, you're launching a direct attack on your own self-worth. That unseen, internal destruction is the exact mechanism that keeps you completely trapped in the cycle. This is the anatomy of a downward spiral. It's a process of psychological decay that happens so slowly you barely even notice it. Step 1, you delay important work for the sake of temporary relief. Step 2, because you delayed, because you broke a promise to yourself, you lose a tiny, microscopic fraction of your confidence. Step 3, you do this enough times, day after day, year after year, and you completely stop trusting yourself. Your self-respect just erodes. And finally, Step 4, the most dangerous phase of all, you start believing you will never change. You accept defeat. You cement your identity as a procrastinator, fully convinced that this is just who you are. The decay is complete. Which brings us to Section 3. The power of discipline, taking back control. So how do we shatter that timeline? How do we break out of that decay? Well, first, we have to absolutely destroy the myth that successful people are just constantly magically motivated. Spoiler alert, they aren't. They rely on discipline, and discipline creates three fundamental things: confidence, momentum, and profound self-respect. High achievers aren't somehow immune to fear or mental exhaustion. They simply act even when they really don't feel like it. That is the true, unfiltered definition of discipline. Because every single time you execute on a small promise you keep to yourself, you actively change who you become. You stop being the person who avoids, and you forge yourself into the person who executes. I need you to burn this truth into your memory. Action creates motivation, not the other way around. We sit around in this state of paralysis, waiting for lightning to strike, right? Waiting for some magical spark of motivation to hit us so we can finally feel ready to start working. But that is a devastating trap. Motivation is merely a byproduct of action. When you start working, even if you do it poorly at first, the momentum builds, the friction lessens, and the motivation finally follows. You have to be willing to take that very first step in the dark. Section 4, breaking the cycle. The immediate cure for your paralysis. So, we've diagnosed the disease of overthinking and fear. Now here is the cure. Stop waiting to feel ready. You've got to start absurdly small. Number 1, put the phone away. Seriously, completely remove that biological comfort trap from your immediate environment. You literally cannot fight your own biology if the dopamine is sitting right there next to you on the desk. Number 2, focus for just 10 minutes. Don't think about the agonizing 10-hour project or the massive mountain you have to climb. Just commit to 10 minutes of discomfort. And number 3, take one single step forward. Write one sentence, read one page, make one call. The exact second you take that micro action, you shatter the psychological paralysis and step right back into reality. And finally, Section 5, the ultimate realization, the true cost of avoidance. As we execute those micro steps, we have to keep our eyes locked on what is really at stake here. Listen to this. Your future is being built by the habits you repeat daily. Procrastination feels harmless now, but years later, it becomes regret. Wow. That is the heavy, undeniable truth of human existence. Delaying today feels like a massive relief. It feels entirely harmless in the moment to just push it off until tomorrow. But when you compound that tiny, harmless relief over a span of 10 years, it slowly transforms into a devastating, suffocating mountain of regret. The relief is temporary, the regret is permanent. It's time to let go of the guilt you've been carrying around for all these years. Maybe you were never actually lazy. Maybe you were just incredibly stuck. Stuck in a very real fear, stuck in a world literally designed for distraction, stuck in a relentless, exhausting cycle of overthinking and overstimulation. Acknowledging that's the first step to freedom. The past is just data, guys. It is just a record of what didn't work. It absolutely does not have to dictate your future. The very second you start taking action, even the smallest, ugliest action, your entire life trajectory begins to shift. So I want you to ask yourself, right here, right now, are you ready to take control of your future? Are you ready to stop letting an invisible fear and a biological craving for comfort dictate the terms of your life? Are you ready to stop settling for the safety of the sidelines and actually start building unshakable self-respect through discipline? You have the tools now. The psychology is no longer a mystery. The choice of what to do next is entirely 100% in your hands. If you are ready to stop letting fear win, if you are truly ready to finally step into your potential and execute, hit subscribe to Glosk Daily Motivation. This explainer was just the beginning of your shift. Make it your daily habit to learn, dissect, and grow with us, because the next explainer might just be the exact catalyst you've been waiting for. But until then, I want to leave you with one final thought. Who could you become a year from now if you simply stop avoiding the work today?